that by and large, the elections, the 2023 elections, reflected the will of the people, which is not the same as to say that there were not instances, as they put it, many independent observers who assessed the report of the presidential, legislative, and state-level elections during the year affirmed that it reflected the will of voters, despite reports of voter suppression, vote buying, campaigning at polling stations, lack of ballot secrecy, and then violence and intimidation. Horrible as those indices are, it still was their considered opinion that when you look at everything, you look at the totality, that is why I said by and large, the elections still reflected the will of the people. Of course, you know, everybody will have their opinion about that. There are those who had, in fact, you recall that APC and the Labour Party especially, you know, had, you know, cried, how did you arrive at that conclusion? But as I said, it was a matter of reflecting the overall, the larger impression. It has been said that you can't, because of one or two infringements, invalidate an entire election. Okay, to talk about this and also get your input from home, to talk about this morning, we have Comrade Ayodele Adewale, APC State Organizing Secretary for Lagos State. Comrade, as always, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. And we shall be joined later on by another commentator on political affairs. So that's the report that, you know, you also are aware of. The election was not 100% as elections should be, but independent observers that they surveyed had given this report that we have to nod towards those unfortunate practices, but the implication of the report is that you cannot invalidate the elections. It generally reflected the will of the people. How do you see that?
Well, that report gladdens my heart, based on the fact that people did come out, and the last time you saw such a number of people that came out was during the June 12, 1993 general elections and all of that. A situation where there were a lot of surprises, places where some people had their strongholds and they lost those strongholds and they gained in other areas that one would have thought they would never had an inroad. Basically, people did come out to vote and they expressed their will to vote for a candidate of their choice. And so many upset were also seen. New people coming into the political field were able to make their statement and make their mark. And today, a lot of them are in the National Assembly, and they are also in various states. And we also thank God that the president didn't win the election. He won the election, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And his winning was also tested, you know, at the judiciary.
Indeed.
And he scaled through all the stratum.
Yes. The report, you know, did mention, Labour Party, especially as you know, in Lagos, that's your area, you're the organizing secretary for Lagos State. The AP Party did win the presidential election in Lagos State, and that gave many people, you know, a lot of hope. And so when the governorship, the following election came about, and it didn't follow suit, there are those who had said that all sorts of malpractices were put into place. And indeed, independent observers said that, well, according to this U.S. State Department report, attested to the fact that from what they could see on social media, it would appear that there were some actions that were taken that ordinarily you wouldn't say were fair. That's them. But APC said that whereas the report is welcoming, I mean, it's sort of, you know, it's welcomed, but it said it needs to be known, though, that they don't need any external, the country doesn't need any external validation for its internal processes. And so comforting as the report, generally speaking, was, they had left that behind. That's, in the past, they're now looking forward, and that the deepening of democracy was what was uppermost on their minds. But it does bear talking about, because the opposition says that it does have a point here. Atiku Abubakar, he said he was at a loss, as Obi had said that he was at a loss to understand how they had, arrived at this report. But that report was not, it wasn't for Nigeria, it was a country's report. So there were a number of countries that the U.S. makes it its business to survey in this manner. And so it needs to be said that when we're talking about this, Nigeria was just among the countries that were surveyed, and so this is what we're talking about here. But when you look at the APC response, that it's heartwarming, but hardly do we need really any external validation. Take a look at that statement.
That statement was born out of the fact that Nigeria is a sovereign nation. And as a sovereign nation, you do not need anybody to affirm your sovereignty or the wills and caprices of the people that are Nigerians to determine their future and determine their faith. When you allow external observers to come, it's for diverse purposes. One, to see how the process is very transparent and how it goes, and also for them to come and learn how to improve on their own system. Nigeria also do send people to other countries to monitor their elections, and many things they see there that they can borrow from, they bring it back to the Nigerian system, open more of discussion, open more forum for them to try to rework our system for it to, up its game. So it is not out of place for countries to send people down here, but it will be out of place if whatever statement they are making do go against the sovereign rights of people of that nation.
Well, what we are saying, what the report is saying, as published, 24th, 25th of April, is that it reflected the will of the Nigerian voters, generally speaking. I think that's very, very important. Clearly, there were infringements here and there. Nobody is saying that didn't happen. Regrettably, nobody's saying that didn't happen. But that when you look at it as a whole, they just had to come up with that decision, as our own internal processes also have. Because the election, especially in the case of the presidential, was contested all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the verdict was returned that everything was in order from a point of view of the law. Were there infractions, isolated individual infractions from place to place? Probably, especially when you look at social media, as was said. But nothing enough to invalidate the elections the way the opposition sought to do. But then, when you test this before the law, it didn't stand up.
Social media is very good. It helps to showcase a lot of things that mainstream media might not be able to catch. But yet again, it must be based on facts. Facts that is opined by law and the rules that surrounds the conduct and the process of the electoral system. And if the facts are put forward and those facts can be proven right, then so be it. The Nigerian people have sat down at various forums, and they've come up with so many laws to protect our electoral processes. And the electoral processes and the judicial system was put to test. Mm-hmm. And at the end of it all, the judiciary made their position known based on the facts that was put before them. Mm-hmm. And if anything goes against that fact, then it's a figment of people's imagination.
Indeed. Bobby in Taraba has called in. Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, Okwiyori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. Okwiyori, can we just bury this thing of the previous election that just happened? whether anybody likes it or not at the moment, President Bola Tinubu should be allowed to work. Let's bury everything behind and allow this man to work. Giving us credit on our elections from the US or any other country cannot help matters. At the moment, sir, we know exactly what is happening in this country. People are finding it difficult to put food on the table to feed themselves. Let's allow Tinubu to work. All this credit cannot even come into perspective of how we are going to feed ourselves. For me, the only credible election that happened in this country was the one in 1993 that brought in late MKO Abiola, irrespective of tribe, religion, or region. May God bless this country, and let's support the president to succeed. God bless you, and God bless everybody around.
Thank you, Bobby, for calling in. Bobby in Taraba there. That seems to be the general opinion. In fact, as Bobby was saying, can we just get on with the business of organizing ourselves? But the U.S., dare I say it, sees itself as something of a policeman to the entire world. And so whether you invite them or not, they will contribute their 2 cents, their opinion. And in this case, the U.S. has deemed it fit that they have this very elaborate, they just are going to be involved in world affairs. Where is it now? It's actually, the official name is, the official title is the United States 2023 Country Reports on Human Rights Practices. They actually have their own issues, but let's for the moment leave that. And it is a document that was to be published by the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor, U.S. Department of State. And so, the Department of State concerns itself with its binoculars on the entire world. But I think as Bobby said, the response, especially of APC, that fine, thank you, but we've left that behind. We're now looking towards 2027, and we don't really need validation, which is not the same as to say that we don't care. No, it's not the same as to say we don't care about anything. But that, thank you very kindly, but that you brought this up at this time is like the contribution from Bobby there. Please let this country breathe. Please let Nigeria breathe, and we have business to get along with. But in your state, Lagos State, where you are organizing, state organizing secretary, especially Labour Party brought up a lot of issues against the backdrop of the expectations they had following the presidential election. And you saw all the complaints, social media was also there. What would you say about Lagos State? Because the report itself did single out Lagos State.
Well, I would say that report is a cycle report. And that cycle report was put out at a very belated time. But I will only say that we should allow sleeping dog to lie. Things have come and gone. Mm-hmm. People are looking forward to the next election. Lessons have been learned. And the electoral umpires to have learned one or two things. All parties have learned a lot of things. And it is now time for governance. We need to do more work as Nigerians, as Lagosians, to make the society better off than where it is right now. And the APC government is doing a lot of things to bring, improvement into the society. The governor of Lagos,
across
board. With respect to Lagos, just last week, you saw all the various systems and things that will cushion, the hardship and all of that, as brought forward by the governor of Lagos State. He has reduced by half the cost of transportation by rail, by road, by water, and all of that. He has also brought support for food in terms of reducing prices. And
so there are all sorts of projects on the
ground. So many things going on right now.
Let me bring in Elder David, who has called in. Good morning, sir. Elder David?
Good morning, sir. I'm still waiting, sir.
Yes, please go on now. You are live now.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you, Elder David.
Elder David from Alimosho, sir.
Indeed. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. The U.S. report is from U.S. government. And what U.S. said is very correct. The freest election since 1999 is Tinubu election. And these are facts I know to everybody. Because when they say Muslim, yes, Nigerians do not look at that. They are looking at the ability of what Tinubu can do for this country. And we are seeing it today. Only 10 months in government, things are changing, except those who are deceiving themselves. I've said it on this platform in 2021. The man will win and he will perform wonder. And let Nigerians be patient. The US, the British have equally confirmed it. In the 6 zones, he got 5 zones, apart from Southeast, where they just write results and present it. I think we'll get only 2. I think we'll get only 1.5. So what are we talking? The APC has come to perfect democracy in this country. And the election, we are not ready. The election started with Buhari. And may God bless him too. He's a hero of democracy. While Tinubu is the champion and leader of democracy. God will bless you all your daily. Adewale, what you are saying is correct. And everybody knows this. And let us accept patience for this government. We judge Obasanjo by 8 years. We judge the Jonathan by 8 years. This man with only 10 months now, we are seeing what he's doing. I laid a foundation that will benefit everyone of us. Nobody is suffering. Everybody is suffering. And if we are suffering, it's an inherited problem, which I have laid a foundation that is going to correct. Before the end of this year, you will see what is going to happen. God will bless every Nigerian that believes in truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
David. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Elder David, for calling in. You know, this U.S. report that we're talking about now, this U.S. report published by the Department of State, it did say that it did attribute some of its conclusions to independent observers on ground, but then also added social media. Now, social media it's a dicey thing if you're going to depend on social media. First of all, what was the coverage of social media? You know, all sorts of things go on in terms of social media. It depends on what was covered. It depends on how heavily what was covered was covered. There are so many things that perhaps, you know, the domestic reporter operating on social media, his rules are not the same as the mainstream press. And so you'll find that there could be a very narrow concentration of coverage that would then be spread widely all over the place, and it would seem as if that was the preponderance of activity going on. This is not necessarily wanting to defend one position or the other, but just to point out that the social media is hardly an independent platform like that. But the U.S. Department of State says that it did say that according to social media videos. It did say that.
Well, social media, just like every other thing, have its positive and negative
Of course.
depending on how
it does have its uses.
And some people could decide to orchestrate some kind of narrative in order to suit their self-purpose.
It's entirely possible.
So it depends on who is watching, and it also depends on how it is presented before a court of law in order to prove their case and all that.
Yes.
And that is why it is advised that when you look at social media, you see the content, you must also be very, very wise and knowledgeable in order to decipher whatever content that is being put forward. And don't be quick to assert on what you have seen, but be careful and look in between the lines to arrive at your conclusions.
Some you know, sort of hard-hitting paragraphs that were inserted in the report. Quotes now, during the March 18 state election in Lagos, All Progressive Party APC supporters reportedly intimidated and suppressed voters in Igbo-dominated areas, which Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi won in the February 25th national election, which was not contested. No, there was no contest. You know, Labour Party, Peter Obi in the presidential elections, he won. Nobody's contesting that, but they're using that as a sort of a descriptor for people to understand. I'm hearing that we have another report. Let me, George, Mr. George calling in from Lagos. Good morning to you, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to the comrades.
Yes,
Good
thank
morning,
you.
Mr. George.
Uncle Yori, it is about time we do away with this colonial mentality about our elections. Why does it have to be America to tell us that our election was free or fair? And look at them, they seem to be approbating and reprobating. After saying that the election reflects the will of the Nigerian people, they went ahead to be saying this and that. Is there any election that has no hiccup? Okay.
Yes.
Is there any election that has not, that doesn't have any hiccup in anywhere in the world?
None.
Look at America itself. The one that Donald Trump tried to truncate. He is still claiming that he won that election, and this is somebody who has more than 90 criminal cases in court. He has been convicted in many, and they are still trying to bring him to government. Is that they should talk about their own situation instead of trying to run down another country? If I were you, I would not even give that report any publicity because they don't deserve it. We are a nation that is capable of solving our problems. We have elected a president that can fix our country, and he's fixing it. Some of them who are benefiting from the rot in one way or the other are not happy that things are looking up in Nigeria. We know all that. They should leave us alone, Joe.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. George, for calling. And the sentiment, Mr. George's sentiment, is quite frankly the way the APC as a party reacted to that. They might not have used these words, apart from those telling words that, nice, thanks, but we don't really need such validation. It's external, we don't need it. And very, very importantly, we've moved on. You people are publishing that now. Since somebody has said 10 months of this administration, but we're very friendly with America. America are friends. But it doesn't subtract from the fact that America still sees itself as the policeman of the world, and it sees itself as the commentator and analyst of the world, and will comment and analyze and publish as it sees fit. It's just as Mr. George is saying that, okay, it's a free country, democracy, we take a lot of it from there. Free speech, America has had its free speech, but, thank you, let's move on. It seems to be the attitude of this government. We are just covering this because when Mr. George said, so why are you even dignifying all of this? Well, it's in the realm of news. America, you cannot say who has been speaking. So if they said this, no problem, let's talk about it, let's chat about it. But as I was saying, your state was brought into, Lagos State is what I mean, was brought very, very much into it. I mean, they could have mentioned other states, they didn't. They concentrated on Lagos State. I guess that's the way life is. Lagos is the big fish. So they concentrated on that and sought to imply, if not indicate that, as I was reading, suppressed voters in, so as they put it, Igbo-dominated areas, which the Labour Party presidential candidate had done very, very well in. They therefore were extrapolating that any other election was going to follow that pattern. But without, unearthing dry bones, when things happen, people react. And so, no doubt, APC in Lagos are saying that, oh, I see, is this it? Well, we better be very up and doing. And they probably got the results of all of that. Another call has come in. I'm so sorry that I don't get these. So, yes, another call has come on. It hasn't been put on here, so. Okay. I'm just hearing that our other guest, Kabir Akingbulu, lawyer and political affairs analyst, who is minus a suit this morning. It's the first time I've seen him on air without a suit. Good morning to you, Kabir.
Yeah, you're correct. The notice came very late, so.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
For having me on the program.
Okay, then. So you've been listening to us for a few moments, I hope. Yes.
Very well.
And, well, we're looking at this report of, I jocularly call them the policeman of the world, the analyst of the world, the United States of America, who have released this report now. And, you know, that was released last week, but we're just looking at it for the sake of completeness. Give me your impressions about it, because they say at one time that, you know, the election, by all accounts, especially those on ground here, did, you know, reflect the will of the people. But then they go ahead and, you know, perhaps rightly, enumerate a number of infringements, one of which was what I've just read, because they did zero in on Lagos. So give me your impressions.
Yeah. When you look at it very well, first of all, I want to observe that the report is coming too late. And secondly, one will be asking in that line that what are they trying to achieve? And again, what can it achieve in practical reality?
Thank you.
And when you look at it, and again, to whittle down the effect of such report, of the U.S. report, is the fact that the report itself is almost self-defeating, in the sense that the report is saying the zeroing, you know, their data was based on Lagos alone. Nigeria has 36 states. We have the FCT, and though Lagos is populated by all the tribes in Nigeria, more or less, conveniently one can argue like that. However, if you take these indices to analyze it, you will find out that it is difficult to be able to rely on such report as very, very tenable. But for whatever it is, just like you have said, since it is America that is speaking, most people will tend to believe it. Like they used to say that when America sneezes, the whole world catches the cold. It is something, in one way, to the politician. His mind, you know, it's mind pleasing. But to ordinary men on the street, it may not be so, because. But I am not so happy that the report is coming so late. Remember, there was another report called the European Union report, something to say, which was not with the court jettisoned. And again, when they announced, the report is also saying that based on, some people are thinking, based on social media report, this makes it to be seriously, you know, questionable and not reliable, let me say, because today, even not only in Nigeria, every part of the world, it is easier for a party or for a personality that has the deep pocket to be able to dictate what happens on the social media, in the sense that people can be sponsored to a certain view, whether positively or negatively, depending on where the pendulum of your, you know, interest swings. You understand? So because of this, if you are basing a report on a social media report, to me, it does not signify or indicate the general interest or general feelings of the people. Okay. If you look at it again from that angle and deeper, you find out majority of Nigerians don't go to social media, and majority of the voters, my brother, they are in the local environment. They are not lettered. Many of them are not on social media. Yeah. Yeah. So you have not gained. It means you have not gained their feelings.
All right, then.
You want to say something?
Okay. At this stage, Comrade Ayodele and Kabir, I'll just take a break now. We'll be right back. Do please stay with us. We'll continue with the conversation as well as taking your calls. Oh, yeah? Speak to me.
Every weekday on Business Nigeria, we uncover the secrets of the financial world,
breaking down intricate economic and financial matters.
We analyze the stock market, shares, bonds, and the thrilling world of cryptocurrencies.
We unveil and analyze complex policies of the CBN and other government parastatals as they affect your everyday life, keeping you a step ahead every time.
Okay, this is good. Facts matter. Our team dives deep to separate facts from popular opinion.
We simplify complex government policies as it impacts your everyday life. helping you navigate the ever-changing financial landscape.
Watch Business Nigeria every weekday at 2 p.m. only on TVC News. First with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. Our guest this morning, Ayodele Adewale, APC State Organizing Secretary in Lagos State, and Kabir Akingbolu, lawyer and political affairs analyst, comrade and barrister, respectively, for those two gentlemen. So what we're doing here is we're looking at this report that some have even criticized. What exactly, did you hear me say Kwe there? That just slipped in. I'm so sorry. So what exactly is it supposed to achieve apart? One doesn't want to ridicule the U.S., perish the thought. But somebody was pointing out that they have their issues. Look at, we're 10 months into this administration. You're bringing out a report last week. And as Kabir said, what this is supposed to achieve, apart from indicating to us that, well, they have this department, they have this Department of State where they will share their opinion willy-nilly. It was published by the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, U.S. Department of State. Nigeria was one of the countries in their catchment, and they decided to favor the world with this report. But what exactly? Because I don't know, when we also send our own independent observers to elections around the world, I don't know the extent to which we also prepare these reports and now spread around the world that, after all, our President Jonathan goes, President Obasanjo, he goes to those kind of things. I don't know. I'm also at a loss to understand what was the intention of the U.S. with this report. It's one of the reasons why I particularly like the APC ruling party response that, thanks, but, it doesn't mean very much. We've moved on from there.
Well, like I said earlier, that is is a cycle report. And quite frankly, it's coming very, very late. You can't stop them from bringing out their report, especially when they have come to observe within your corridors and all of that. But again, I would have said everybody just overlook it. But again, for the purpose of history, there must be a response.
Yeah.
And that response has been put, quite frankly,
the word you used, you said overlook. Well, I don't know, because APC didn't overlook it.
That was what I said, yes. Ordinarily.
Okay.
Ordinarily.
APC didn't overlook it.
Sir, I said ordinarily. One should just overlook it because it has no meaning in our space. But for the purpose of history, if you don't react to it, it can be taken as what actually happened within your space. So the reaction of the APC to it had put it in check. Okay. Right? And the reaction of Nigeria to it has put it in check. So you endorse? That is not to say that whenever observers come to report, I think we should go further as part of our own prerequisite to allow observers to come in, is that whatever you observe, within this time limit, we expect that your report should be put to the public domain, or you submit your report to us so that we can study
Almighty America is going to say that you can't give us conditions. It is
like I said, Nigeria is a sovereign state.
Exactly.
So if you are going to come in to monitor our election,
it's like
you must sign.
Yes.
You must sign.
Yeah, I hear you.
Conform with our regulations.
Indeed. Edmund in Enugu. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Please go ahead. You're on air now.
Yeah, I'm on air.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I want to participate in the ongoing discussion.
Sure, we'd like you to. Go right ahead, please.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Are you with me? Okay. So I don't know why we are celebrating the report from United States of America.
We're not celebrating it. We're just covering it.
That is part of the problem that we have in this country. It's part of that African or black man's mentality that everything foreign will be celebrated. So what am I saying in effect? We have processes. Elections came and gone, and the winners were pronounced. Why do we need revalidation from America? Our Supreme Court has finally nailed and decided on who won the election. Why are we celebrating American report or any other report, European or whatever? So we should have confidence in ourselves. It's about time we stopped giving credence to all these foreign observers. It's with an avenue of making mockery of us. They're not observing anything. We have how many states? How many police stations we have in this country? How many of them did they go to? That we are now celebrating that America report that the election reflected the wishes of Nigeria. We knew that. The Supreme Court said that. Why do we need America again?
All right.
This is part of what Bob Marley said, that Africans should liberate themselves from colonial mentality. We are still suffering from that colonial mentality. And until we liberate ourselves from that, look at America, we are copying.
All right.
Look at America, we are copying. Under Donald Trump. What is happening? How many foreigners went to America to oversee how Donald Trump's election was conducted? So please, let's have confidence in ourselves. Let's believe in ourselves.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in, Edmund. Appreciate your call. Appreciate it. We got all that you had said. But just to point out that perhaps celebrating isn't the word. I could understand, as some other people have said, why are you even bringing this up? Just as of duty, reporting. It happened. The report came. It came late. It came, 10 months in on the administration that they're commenting upon. And so we are looking at it, and also to report the reactions that it has met. The ruling party that is concerned most directly has said that it doesn't mean very much because they do not seek or require validation, just very much as you have said, Edmund, from external sources. So celebrating is perhaps might not be the word. We're not celebrating it, but we are taking note of it, that it has happened. Okay, now coming over to you, Kabir, on that, you can see that a lot of people that have called in, perhaps a lot is overstating it, but the people that have called in, have continued with this impression that why are you even TVC this morning? Why are you even bringing this one up? Well, perhaps there's a professional duty to bring it up. All the media, all the newspapers covered it because it was, a newsworthy event. Even that America was putting out this report and it was putting it out late and that it seemed to be contradictory. All of those, news items for us to talk about. We heard what they said. Is there any merit in any particular merit in what was said? Well, again, depends on who is examining. As I pointed out, the opposition did say that they did complain. Even though the report was as it was, Mr. George had pointed out, our very first caller, that it seemed to be self-contradictory. But still, we have to report. What do you think about this particular aspect of why are you even talking about this? Why don't you just leave America and their problems?
No, that I don't agree with that school of thought. You know why? TVC is an institution that is saddled with the responsibility of informing the people. In fact, it would be a dereliction of duty for a failure on the part of TVC for not hearing it. They are supposed to bring it out just as every other, news media would be expected to do. And rather than, condemn that, we must commend the TVC for doing that. Not on the side of anybody. After all, the net is thrown open for anybody to fish. What is your opinion? What's your opinion? Not that anybody is God. So BBC is doing a good job about that, just like the newspapers have reported it.
Every news media reported it as of duty. Okay. Reverend Dominic.
So,
exactly. Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
The same thing TVC have done.
Yes, exactly. Reverend Dominic, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Chief Yori. Good morning to comrades in the studio. Good morning to the lawyers over there.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Yori, honestly, I've asked myself this question, and maybe Nigeria will hear my voice. What is the meaning of these foreign observers in our elections? Why? Your other question. Even though this report, I have my reservations. You know me now. But why the report now? Again, we bring observers here, and we have had the story of Emefiele and how he played observers. And we don't use the report, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. Why do we bring them here? We're no more colonized by anybody. This is an independent nation, the most populous black nation all over the world, the most powerful office in the world. Why do we bring observers here? To tell us what to do. And when they say it, we don't take it. Or they don't say anything, we don't take it. Why do you bring observers in our elections? Because they are useless. Look at this report. I call this report useless. I call it inciting. We have licked our wound. Things that happen here, elections have come and gone. Supreme Court has spoken. Everybody is trying to build Nigeria we're looking forward to. Why do these people bring this report at this time? America is part of the trouble of Africa. But they should leave us alone. We have had enough from Boko Haram and bandits. Some of them, I'm sorry to say, are sponsoring that or not anyway. Why is this report this time?
Mm-hmm.
What they want us to use it to do?
Mm-hmm.
We must stop foreign observers in our elections. We're independent here. We are strong here. We're intellectual here. We can have local observers. But this international observer that come to mock us every time, if it's good, it's not good. If it's bad, what do America want from Nigeria?
Okay, Reverend Dominic, thank you very much for calling in. Let me let you in on that, Kabir. Well, Nigeria is a member of the Committee of Nations, and I suppose it is a sort of a protocol. There are those who are fuming, what is all of this? And I just pointed out that even we are invited and other countries to be observers elsewhere. I suppose it's a sort of protocol, a sort of courtesy. That's such an important thing. Come from your country to come and see us at work. You also invite us to, come to your country. But you probably can understand, the way people are feeling because of this. As somebody pointed out, I think it was George, the first caller, this colonial mentality of taking too importantly things that people say from far off and beginning to add more value than they would personally allocate to such contributions. But we are part of society. We're part of the Committee of Nations. Do you agree that why are they coming? Why are we even letting them in? Why are we even participating in all of that?
Well, I want to think, or I believe strongly, that it's just a normal ritual because it's not binding on any nation.
An international
Every
sort
nation
of protocol.
Nigeria is a sovereign nation. Yeah, it's a protocol. So we have our own ways of doing things, including our election and all that. Like in America, they have their own peculiar, democracy. We have our own. Like in America, Mrs. Clinton beat Donald Trump with over 3 million votes. And he didn't win because he didn't pass the electoral college. So that won't be acceptable in Nigeria. If Nigeria was to write a report, we would write differently. So every report is dependent on what the culture or the political culture or socialization of the people, political socialization of the people will be. Like going to other countries does not mean the report will be binding. And there's a dangerous thing about this. For supposing now, thank God the majority of Nigerians don't respect this report. But assuming we not take it to clear and think as, since America has spoken about the election, it is free and fair. The day they will write another one that will be against us, we will not be able to escape from it because we have justified it in the past. So it is better now we say it in the language that matters, that way we don't respect such, it's not binding on us, so that in the future, you should know that we have a way of doing our own things, we'll keep to the rules, and whatever you feel belongs to you and is exclusive to you, we have our own way.
Indeed. Thank you. So probably the ruling party's response, I think, is a classic one. We've noted it, but we've moved on since then. And besides, we don't really need external validation for what has happened here. And that we know among ourselves and our own processes reflects the generality of opinion of most voters. Mazi Okoroafo Inarochukwu, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests. See, when we talk about the election, I start up with the Nigerian and the American issue. You see, look at American issue election that happened. At least there's what they call a Trump voice. That Trump voice, when they discovered that the election was being marred by the discrepancies, what happened? I think that the people that went to the editorial house, at least the government and the state house, they are facing problem. At the end of the day, the Trump is having that case presently. Now, the Nigeria case, Nigeria is over now, the election tribunal, everything. But look at America. The issue of Trump is still lingering, seriously. They brought about the issue of boys, they brought about the issue of tax, they brought about that. At the end of the day, what is happening? Now, it's still the authority there. Nigeria and the U.S. election is so they are different. They are just opposite direction. Americans already, the Republicans, they have already made up their mind. You saw all those, even that one of the women that are contested with Trump. The statement he made that day when the people at the planet they refused to vote for her, the whole thing went to Trump. The way how furious the woman left the stage. So at the end of the day, we went back to Trump that Trump is coming back. Now, if you look at the American election and the Trump election and the Democrat and Nigeria, you see that America, their own aspect of perceiving election or receiving people is different from Nigerian aspect of it. Nigerian theory is based on socialism, tribalism, religion. But in America, it doesn't base like that. America, they have made up their mind, those Republicans, those who are that they want Trump. Because if Trump, let me give everybody to listen very well. If Trump were to be in office, let me tell you, the war between Russia and Ukraine will not happen. That's number one. The problem between Israel and Gaza will not happen because Trump, he has that charisma, that spirit. That's what because when they talk about leadership, people don't understand what they talk about leadership. Look, there are first qualities you have
yes,
as a human being.
Mazi, thank you very much, sir. Because of time, but the one thing that I agree with you, the most important thing is that we and America, or for that matter, any other country, we don't necessarily see the world through the same prism or through the same lenses. America is America. Nigeria is Nigeria. And so that's why I keep on going back to the, masterly, I think, response of APC. We've noted, but it doesn't really mean very much to us because we don't need it. But it is noted. It's like saying, thank you very much for your efforts. Maybe closing thoughts, comrade, on this kind of matter. Maybe you also would like to weigh in on those that are, a bit vexed. I won't say angry, but those that are vexed that, why are you even talking about this? Surely we have to talk about it. Every news media, self-respecting news media, did report it when it was put out by the U.S. Department of State. In closing.
Well, in closing, what I would say is that we should not be driven by emotions. But again, we should be propelled by factual contemporary realities. And INEC did say some months back, especially to local observers, that they should submit their reports on time. And that was why I said there should be timeline for submission of reports. If you are coming to any environment, any space or country, as you want to call it, you must be able to conform with their rules. Processes. There should be rules.
Yes.
That is not to say that reports are not important. If you look at the 1979 elections, the report that came out suggested that Chief Obafemi Awolowo won the elections. But when they went to court, it was two-thirds majority, right? So if you look at by the numbers of votes, Awolowo did win the elections. If you look at 1993, the report that came out suggested that Chief M.K. Abiola won the elections. Those reports were what the civil society held on to as I continue with their clamor. And many years after, even after MKW died, President Buhari came to affirm that MK Abiola won the election. So reports are very important. But again, people should not hide in perspective and in the true situation of what had happened.
Thank you very much. Barrister Kabiru Akingbolu.
Yes, very well. Yes.
I'd like, just closing words, just about 15 seconds.
I know. As a passing, shot, I think the election has come and gone. The only thing, and thank God the chieftain of the APC is there. What Nigerians expect is good governance. They want things to be okay. They want good welfare, economic rebound. But that's what people want now, not this destructive report.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the brevity of that. Kabiru Akingbolu, lawyer and political affairs analyst. Thank you very much. Same comrade Ayodele Adewale, APC State Organizing Secretary, Lagos State. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for having me
as well. So that's our program this Monday. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.
Questions with Ini. Hi guys, Ini. Your skin is really glowing. What beauty soap do you use?
It's glowing because it's healthy. I use a soap that keeps my skin soft and protected from germs.
But Ini, the beauty soaps I know don't give germ protection.
Dettol skincare does.
It combines Dettol's protection with argan oil to protect my skin. Gives me 2 times moisturization with a beautiful fragrance. Beautiful skin is germ-free skin.
The following is a paid presentation by Shop.